Um, with Quinn clearing waivers, I was curious, is he going to grab one of those open practice squad spots?
He is.
Excellent. Thank you. And I was curious, at what point this week at any point, will you start to consider weather considerations in, talking to the players or assessing how the game might be played? I guess, like, is it a day before, 2 days? Not even, once you get to the stadium, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, usually, talk about it once we know for sure when it is, which a lot of times that's when we get to the stadium. It's hard to really hang your hat on a lot of predictions here, so we'll go with the known information, understanding what it obviously could be. We're not expecting, overheating and fans on the sideline.
Next question, Chris Ryan, followed by Andrew Callahan.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Good, Chris.
I wanted to kind of build upon that from Mike and talk a little bit about preparation, whether it's your players, opposing coaches, everybody talks about how this team is prepared. And what is your philosophy around that in regard to weather, or just generally speaking? Is that something that has built out over a period of time, or has that evolved on how to intricately prepare for an opponent, fundamentals, things of that nature?
Yeah. Well, again, I would say on the weather, we don't really spend a lot of time on that. We practice in a variety of conditions from the start of training camp to the end of the season. So whenever they come up, they come up. We learn from those. Those may or may not be what we get that particular week, but somewhere along the line, it could come into play. So, we talk about that and how it would affect certain plays, situations, ball handling, etc. So it's kind of a continual conversation that we have on that.
Is it a challenge, though, particularly on the weather side, because you could replicate certain things in practice so that they're not seeing something for the first time in a game, but obviously certain guys will be seeing certain weather conditions for the first time? How do you try to prepare somebody for, like Ramondre Stevenson as an example, who hasn't seen snow before, what it may be like to play in a game of that nature and instill that aspect of preparation?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's too much we haven't seen, but yeah, we haven't seen a lot of snow this year. I guess but I don't know what we can do about that. We practice in wind. We practiced in sunny days, cloudy days, windy days, calm days, hot days, cold days, wet days, dry days. And I don't know, what's it going to be? So whatever it is, and if we haven't done it, then we'll have to adjust to it, but we've dealt with most everything.
Thanks.
Next question, Andrew Callahan.
Hey, Bill. I wanted to ask you about the rotations you've had defensively. And I know rotating is something, that's not unique to this season, but specific to the linebackers and the corners, was the late bye week that you've had here coming up at all a factor in terms of making sure that guys are going to be rested until you get to that bye week, knowing it's later than I think you've had since you got to New England?
All right. Honestly, the decisions each week are pretty much based on that week. What we need to try to do to win that game, and then deal with next week. On a specific injury or a player's physical condition, that could be a little different part of the conversation. But just in terms of playing the game and do what we need to do to win, that's hard enough every week. So we put everything we can into trying to win each game, and then when the game's over, we tee it up and be ready to do it again.
And then on Brian Dable, really quickly, since he was on your staff, where have you seen him put, his own imprint on the system he's running now, the kind of flavor that might be different from what, he was helping run when he was on your staff?
Yeah, well, we've gone against Brian a number of times before in Buffalo, and on other teams as well. He's a good coach. He's well prepared. And as a game plan coach, he attacks what you do and does a good job of it and puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So I'm sure we'll see that again Monday night.
Next question comes from Buffalo, Mookie Hawkins, followed by Doug Hyde. Mookie, sorry, you're muted. We're going to jump ahead to Doug Hyde. We'll come back to you, Mookie.
Bill, how's it going?
Good, Doug.
Matthew Judon's been very complimentary of the pass coverage this season, saying that a lot of his sacks have been coverage sacks. Have you seen the pass coverage help out the pass rush and vice versa this season?
Right. Well, it's all about complementary defense and playing good team defense. So one without the other is not very effective. When you can combine good pass coverage with a good pass rush, then that leads to negative plays, could lead to sacks, could lead to interceptions, could lead to pass breakups and pressures and things like that. So absolutely, team defense is what we're always trying to do well. And I think if you can match the coverage and match the rush at about the time the quarterback's trying to throw the ball, that's really what you're looking to do. And as I said, one without the other, you'd probably make a couple plays on that, but overall in the long run, it's just not going to be enough because you have a good rush and the ball's out and it's completed, or you have them covered with no rush and eventually quarterbacks and receivers are too good in this league and they'll get open. So, we've got to try to marry those together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll go back to Mookie Hawkins, followed by Mark Gahn.
Coach Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Couple questions for you, man. For years, you've been able to keep teams off balance with balance, and the way you game plan, you thrive on taking away what teams does best. For over 20 years, Coach, what attributes that?
Well, no, I've been coaching a lot longer than 20 years, but it's try to do whatever you can to do to win that week. That's really what it comes down to. Each week's different. Each week has its own challenges, and you look at the way the game matches up and what your opportunities are and what your opponent does, and try to figure it out from there. But ultimately, it's about the players. They're the ones that make the plays. They're the ones that execute the whatever it is, offense, defense, special teams that are out there. So you can execute it all you want, but you need good players to win. And the games that we've won, our players have played well enough to win. They've made the plays they need to make. So it really comes down to having good players.
Absolutely, Coach. One more, if I may. With all the Super Bowl wins and the accomplishments, what fuels that fire to keep you hungry to keep going, Coach?
Yeah, well, none of what happened in the past really means anything. We've won some, we've lost games, whatever it is. But right now, this week, it's a challenge of this team against Buffalo in 2021. First time we've played them. We played them a couple times here, in a short period of time. But this is the game to focus on, and so put everything we have into this one, and go up to Buffalo and try to be as competitive as we can against a good football team that's well coached, that plays well, that competes well, that's tough, and we're gonna need our best game. So that's what we're striving for this week.
Good luck Monday night, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Question from Mark Gahn, Buffalo News.
Yes, Coach, you've said many times, or several times anyway, that there's no criteria for the Hall of Fame, and that's absolutely true. There isn't for any of the major Hall of Fames. People have talked about, for instance, a longevity criteria, but then worried that somebody like Gale Sayers would have been left out. The question is, do you think the Hall of Fame should make an effort, whatever that means, make an effort to come up with some criteria that would, at least in some cases, allow for the automatic inclusion of some people?
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I've never advocated automatic anything. And I think every rule can have exceptions, especially on something like this. So whatever the criteria is, there could certainly be a person that doesn't meet that criteria that's worthy of that selection if everybody agrees and thinks that they are. So I just think it would be a lot easier if you had something to at least ballpark measure what we're talking about here. But right now I'm focused on Buffalo and the Bills and not going to worry about that.
Thank you.
John Wawrow, Associated Press.
Hi, Bill. From your perspective, what challenges do teams face when attempting to replace, a player of the caliber of Tre'Davious White? What are the challenges that, when you lose a player like that, the teams face?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's every team deals with that every week. So you have to have backups for every position. You get into the kicking game, you might need to replace a guy on 4 or 5 teams. So it could be, multiple guys. Again, depending on what the person's role is and so forth. So, every time you go into a game, you have to have, who's your backup this, who's your backup that, who's your backup kicker, who's your backup punter, who's your backup quarterback, backup, everything. So that's football. That's competitive sports. We all deal with it every week. You never know for sure when it's going to happen. If a person's out for a longer period of time, then you make your best arrangements that you can based on what you have. But that could change in one play in any given game.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next question, Phil Perry.
Hey, Bill, just wanted to ask you about Star Latulele. It looks like, I know he's missed the last few weeks here, but he is practicing, I guess, and may play Sunday. What would he add to that Bills front?
Another good player in it. Yeah, they got a good. They're very good up there. They have good depth and good talent. They just keep coming in waves. They got a couple big waves of guys there. So, they're all tough. They're good playmakers. They're consistent. I mean, they have a good defense. Obviously, they have one of the best defenses in the league, and they're good at everything. But they've got good front. They got good linebackers, and they have good secondary. And they're experienced. They play together. They certainly know how to execute the defense, make adjustments. And it's hard to fool them. You got to earn it. They don't make many bad plays. They're very well coached. Sean and Leslie, their staff do a really, really good job. Fundamentally, they do a good job schematically. It's obviously one of the best defenses that we've played, and we play year in and year out. They always make it hard, and they'll make it hard again Monday night. We'll have to, as I said, do a good job, play our best game.
Thanks, Bill.
Welcome.
Take 2 final questions here. Matt Wilzonski, followed by Tyler Bronski.
Morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning.
Just wanted to ask you about Dawson Knox. I know he's having a career season for Buffalo. What have you seen on tape and your overall thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's a good player. We've had, certainly had trouble with him before. Very competitive in every phase of the game. Good hands, good receiver, can make plays down the field, converts third downs, good in the red area. Competitive blocker, can detach from the line of scrimmage from the formation, can play attached to the formation. Sometimes in the backfield, not a lot, but has versatility to go back there and do things. So, he's a versatile player that Coach Daboll moves around and utilizes in different ways, different matchups, different formations, and he's done a good job for him.
One more quick one. Regarding special teams, Nick Folks had trouble in the wind before. I know it was almost a decade ago at this point. But on the Bills side, Marquez Stevenson got his first start on punt returns. How important will special teams be on Monday?
Yeah, it's always important. And, Buffalo is always a challenging place to play. Because the wind will affect the kicking game more than it'll affect the passing game. So as it relates to field position, ball handling, field goal range, direction of the kicks, so forth. Obviously, it'll be a key factor in the game, depending on what it is. But that's it's part of the challenge of playing there, be the same for both teams, and we'll see how everybody handles it, but it'll definitely be a factor. Again, more of a factor in the kicking game than the passing game, although it could affect the passing game, but it'll affect the kicking game first.
And last question, Tyler Bronski.
Hey, Bill. Want to ask about a comment Jacoby made yesterday. He mentioned that he felt Nelson could be a head coach someday because of how much he wants to just know every little detail of every play. What can you tell about how much Nelson appreciates just intricate details and understanding situations from your football conversations with him?
Yeah, Nelly's a smart guy. He's got a good level of experience. He's played in a couple different systems and played multiple positions inside, outside, and as I said, played in different passing systems. So he has a pretty good familiarity with the different aspects of the passing game, and obviously the way that they're defended. So he's a smart guy. I'm not sure exactly what his career goals are. I think the immediate ones to go up and play well against Buffalo. That's what we're all looking for. But he's a smart player, and I'm sure he'll have a great career after football in whatever area he chooses to pursue.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
It's all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade? Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.